What's up, guys? Adam here with RV Returners back again for our third review for Opus 5. This is going to be Wind. They seem to get a lot of interesting cards, so today I'm going to be joined by, I guess he's my brother, and he's been playing Wind pretty good amount since he started playing the game, so he's going to help me review these cards.
Yeah, what's up, guys? I definitely agree. I think a lot of interesting cards, a lot of guys that you'll see later on that are just game stealers. So I think we should just hop right in.
Yeah, so let's go with the first card, which is new Wind Summon Asura. It's EX Burst. Choose one forward you control, activate it, and negate all damage dealt to it, and then draw a card. What do you think about this card?
Uh, Initially, I thought it was a lot better just from the wording, but then after getting clarification, I don't think this card is as good as we initially thought because it's just a healer. It's not so much of a I block and I negate whatever damage I'm taking and my guy lives. But I guess it's okay, but not as good as I initially thought.
Yeah, so it's definitely interesting. It's a burst, which is nice. You do get to activate a forward, which is things that it's a lot of things that Wind wants to do, and it is a heal, but you cannot prevent lethal damage, which is a thing. So I think it'll maybe see a little bit of play, but I think Wind summons are kind of hard to fit them in your deck right now. I think there's a lot of like kind of mediocre to pretty good ones, but no like super real standouts yet. So going on the next card, which is 3 cost forward Adele. She's a 5K with haste, and for 1 win, she can't be blocked this turn.
Yeah, I think this is the best win card in the set. She just steals games. You can play her early, put your opponent on a clock by paying 1 mana every turn, and she also can come out late when they're at 6 points and just be a 3 mana unblockable haster, and you win. I think you would agree with that, right?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is like you never know like when this is in their hand, pretty much, and it could always come down. And now you always have to be scared when you're at 5 or 6, because they could just slam this down and get those last few points of damage. And if you have no answer, and if you're at 6, you need an immediate answer. So you almost have to like play around it, almost like a summon, basically, like a summon that's going to deal you damage. Um, if you think of it that way, because you have to immediately have an answer for this card when it hits the board, or else you're going to take that point of damage, and there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah.
I think she's pretty insane. I think she's an auto include in pretty much almost any win deck now.
Yeah, I agree.
So next card's our first backup card. It's a 4 cost backup, Aria type 0. So it's a type 0 card, obviously. When she enters the field, you draw a card, and then you can tap her and choose a forward, and during this turn, the next damage dealt to it is reduced by 1,000.
I think she's okay. I mean, I guess she's a 4 mana backup that really costs 2 because you're drawing a card. But the reducing by 1K, I don't think really is very beneficial. And the backup lineup, and just like mono wind especially, or even wind water standard units, is pretty all spoken for at this point.
Yeah, I don't really see how this fits in that backup line currently. The drawing the card is nice. Um, the reduction by 1,000 can be useful, but I feel like in most cases you'd rather have White Mage, which costs 2 and can break itself and increase you by 1,000 and also activate you. So I just feel like this card's inferior to White Mage, although you can use this multiple times since you're not KOing it. But a lot of times right now, what Wind is looking for is ways to break backups, because a lot of their other backups are kind of spoken for.
Yeah, and White Mage also readies the guy.
Yeah, that's what I said. It also activates, yeah. So the next card we had is the Warrior of Light for Wind, which is 3 cost Arc. Job Warrior Light and Wind Forge you control gain plus 1,000 power. Dual total of 3 active wind forwards or wind backups. Choose a forward. It can be blocked by 4 cost 3 or more this turn.
So I mean, the wind deck the mono wind list I'm currently running is already kind of big. So I don't think the Anthem is very good in my list. I definitely think there are lists out there where he could be good. And his second ability is okay. I just don't think it's as good as like a Kobold Droids per se, which kind of does the same thing, except for I'm paying 1 a turn instead of 3 a turn. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I think in the right deck, this guy could be good. I'm not sure if he fits right in with Mono Wind, because they already have like Maria and a lot of big bodies that are resetting your backups and stuff, and this guy's not really doing it for you. But I could see him as like, maybe fit a few in there, and you could push through for the last few points of damage. But yeah, I agree that Kobold Droid is probably going to take up slots in your deck still, and this guy kind of turns your forwards into bigger Kobold Droids.
Yeah.
So I think you could see play, but I'm not sure how much play he ends up seeing. Next card is 4 cost backup Echo. She's EX Burst. She's another one of those choose 2 of 4. So she has choose 1 forward activate, choose 1 backup activate. Oh, other than her. Look at the top card of your deck, and you may place it on the bottom of your deck and draw a card.
I think she's pretty good. The burst makes it even better. I think I mean the burst is really the only thing that helps because, like I said, I think in a lot of win decks the backups are already accounted for. She does do everything that Win likes to do. You know, activating things, drawing a card is never bad. What do you think?
Yeah. Again, it's like those other 2 out of 4s. Like if you can negate one of these actions somehow, it will negate all of them. I think it is kind of nice that if you can look at the top card of your deck and then draw a card, so you can look at the top card, be like, no, I don't want that, and then draw the next card. I think that's kind of interesting. But again, it runs to that issue where win backups right now, if you want to spot, I feel like you kind of have to be able to break yourself for the most part, and this isn't really doing that. Which, if you start running this, it really only leaves you one breakable spot in your back line because you're probably running Kane Senna, her 2 guys, and Aerith at least. Oh, and Maria. So really,
Exactly.
once you
Yeah.
play this, your backup line is locked down pretty much. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to fit backups in, especially when they're costing 4 as well.
I agree.
So next up, we have another backup, 2 cost Ranger. Tap, put him in the break zone. Choose one monster, cost 2 or less, break it.
I mean, I could definitely see this seeing play if monsters are super relevant. Because I guess most of them cost 2. Um, I don't know though. Right now, not the greatest card. I don't think.
Yeah, a lot of the monsters printed in this set are costing more closer to like 4 and 5, which this
Yeah, there are a
guy,
lot of big monsters in this set. That's true.
yeah, which this guy won't get. Um, and Alexander will hit those because Alexander just chooses a monster and breaks it, and Alexander also costs 2. I guess if the meta is super monster heavy and you're seeing a lot of 2 cost monsters, this could be good. But I don't really see this fitting in right now unless the meta just changes in a way that I'm not seeing.
Yeah, it's kind of how I feel.
So next up we have the 2 cost Thief. He's a backup as well. Pay 1 win, tap, put him in the break zone. Your opponent reveals their hand, choose one character card from their hand, and your opponent discards that card. You can only use this ability during your turn.
I think this card's good. I mean, it's a Zidane on a backup without the body. She breaks herself, which is also good. I mean, Thoughtseize your opponent's hand is never a bad thing.
I think this card's crazy good. I think this card's insane. I think you should put this in almost every win deck at this point. It is like Zidane, except it's delayed by 1 turn, and you can only use it during your turn. Which I mean, Zidane you can only really use during your turn for the most part. It's breakable. It costs 2. You can play this turn 1, and hitting a character card is almost everything you're gonna hit every time, anyways. Because this is basically just saying choose something that's not a summon. That's really it. So I think this card's crazy good. I think it definitely is going to see a ton of play as long as win decks are prevalent. So next card we have is Sid Paladina. He's a Final Fantasy IV character, which this set kind of printed a lot of. Got some good support. When he enters the field, your opponent reveals their hand. When he deals damage to a forward, it'll cost 5 or more. You increase it by 4,000. And when he's dealt damage by a forward, it'll cost 5 or more. Reduce it by 4,000. So basically, if you want to kill this guy and you're a 5-drop, you need to be a 12k, assuming that he has no buffs. And you also need to be a 13k if you don't want to straight up trade with him. What do you
Yeah,
think
I
about this
mean,
card?
I think he's dependent on metas also. I mean, if the meta is just big, stupid 5-drop guys, he's great. If it's not, then he's not. I think that's just kind of how it goes. I think he's good in like a sealed format where that's what people are trying to do. Is just play big dudes and he just swings up or blocks up.
Yeah, I think he's pretty solid. Maybe you could see him as like a one of, especially if the meta gets to the point where everybody's playing really big forwards. Like Vermilion Bird Lassie is like the one that comes off the top for me that I think is a big one that this guy just sits in front of and he's a wall
Yeah,
and now he's not going to attack
wrecks
him.
that guy. Yeah,
Yeah, now he's not going to attack anymore. Some other popular 5 drops, maybe like the new Light Vaughn, stuff like that. So I think, yeah, he is meta dependent, but I think there is merit to playing him maybe as a 1 of or so, something like that. Next card we have is the 1 drop White Mage, standard unit. 3k power. Put it in the break zone. The forwards you control don't receive any damage from summons or abilities this turn.
I think this card's just bad. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. I think one drops tend to be not super good. I mean, it does have an ability that could be kind of relevant, which
yeah,
is
but
nice.
with the card we'll get into later that has the same ability that costs 2 more, which is just inherently better.
Yeah. So the difference with this card though is this does it to all your forwards for a whole turn instead of just the one. You know.
That's true. That's true.
Um, I don't think it's gonna see play, but it is interesting and you could do some cool things with it. I guess it's kind of throw it down. The only thing is it's really easy to get rid of. So I don't think it's too
Yeah,
much play.
yeah, I agree.
Next card we have is the 2-cost Elementalist, another standard unit forward, 5k for 1 win tap. Choose one forward you control. It cannot be chosen by your opponent's summons and abilities this turn.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, you're already playing like Ranger and a few other guys that can't be targeted. Having another creature that can do the same thing for another guy's not bad. I think maybe in like the Wind Water decks, you might see this card, but I don't think you'll see it too much.
Yeah, I think if this was a backup, it would be gross, like really, really gross. But the fact that it's on a forward does make it a bit weaker. It is a good ability, so maybe it might see a little bit of play, and it is a standard unit, so it does get buffed by that stuff in Wind Water. But I think it's gonna be hard to find a spot in that deck.
Yeah.
It is one thing to note that a lot of these cards are Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2. So there's a card later that kind of will make that more relevant, and I think maybe it could be a theme because there is a lot of these just generic stuff that falls into that category, which is nice. The next card we have is Cemal Afina. I guess that's how you say it. It's a 2-cost backup. The cost to required to play Star Sybil on the field is reduced by 2, and for 2 win 1 colorless, choose on 4, deal it 1,000 damage.
I mean, I guess you would have to play this in like some kind of Win Earth for the first ability. I don't think the second ability is that good. 3 mana for 1k just seems way overcosted.
Yeah, I don't think this sees much play unless somehow some Final Fantasy 11 Wind Earth becomes really good. Um, I mean, it is nice to turn Star Sybil into a 3-drop because Star Sybil as a 3-drop just sounds pretty insane. And like you
Yeah.
said, I think the second ability is just overcosted, so I don't think this sees much play at all. But it could go in a certain build if you want to push that theme. Next card we have is the new Chocobo. It's a 3-cost 7k. If Chocobo forms a party, Chocobo doesn't receive any damage.
So he's kind of different from the other Chocobos, right? Because the other guys kind of protect the other guy they're party attacking with, and he protects himself. I think he's okay if you play some kind of Chocobo deck. He's also a standard unit, so that's kind of nice for that deck also. What do you think?
I think the big deal for this is that it's on curve. He's an on curve standard unit Chocobo. So with Fat Chocobo, this guy becomes a 9k 3-drop, which is really, really good.
And with Maria, he's a 10k 3-drop.
Yeah, and then say you're playing Arc, he's an 11k 3-drop. So I think this guy's going to get really big, and if you're playing some kind of Chocobo standard unit-ish build, this definitely goes in because I think he's one of the better Chocobos. This and the Opus 1 Haste Chocobo, I think, are probably the two best ones you can get now, to be honest.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next card, which is kind of related, which is the 3-cost Chocobo Night. He's a 3k, so he's pretty far below curve. When he comes into the field, you can search for a Job Chocobo or Cardium Chocobo, add it to your hand, and then you can tap him to play one Job Chocobo or Cardium Chocobo, cost 4 or less from your hand into the field.
I mean, I think he's really good. You just talked about a on curve 3-drop. Now you play a 3-drop that's small, but then you're just going to be pumping Chocobos out all game. And if you run the one we just talked about or the Haster, I mean, I think he's not bad.
Yeah, I think the thing that holds him back right now is all the Chocobos are 3, and if he could get a 4-drop out, I think just one time he'd get his value back. But I think really, in order for this to see play, he's going to have to at least get his ability off twice. I guess once at 1, he's pretty valuable. I guess like if you just get 1, you're breaking even basically because this guy's not doing anything but tapping for that ability, and he's really easy to deal with because he only has 3k power.
Yeah, if he's another one that if he was a backup, he would just be insanely good.
Oh yeah, if he was a backup, he would 100% see play, and Chocobos would be super good, I think. And I mean, they're already pretty good, so it'd be even better. I don't think this sees much play currently, but if they do print something to break that off, it could be really good. I'm interested to see if they print a Chocobo backup at some point.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Like a 3-cost Chocobo backup.
So the next card is the first legendary. It's the 5-cost Diabolus. He's a summon. He's another one of those pick 2 of 4. So his 4 is choose one forward that costs 5 or more, break it. Choose one forward that costs 4 or less, and until end of turn, his power becomes 1,000. Activate all forwards and activate all backups that you control.
When I first saw this card, I really liked it. The more I play with it, the less I like it actually. I guess the nice part is if you just choose the last 2 abilities, there's no way for your opponent to fizzle it because he's selecting everything you control. The top ability is okay, but you can get that from Alexander, and Alexander is also an EX burst. The second ability is also just okay, I think, because you don't really want to pay 5 for a combat trick.
Yeah, I think this is just solid because it's versatile. But definitely when I saw it, I was overhyped on it too, because we didn't quite understand how the 2 out of 4 worked at the time. And then once we figured out the ruling, it kind of became a little bit less good. It does do a lot of things that Win does like to do with its summons, and it's all on one card. But it is 5. It does cost 5. So I think this will see play for sure. Maybe it's like a 1 of 2 at the most. Because
I'm currently only running 1.
yeah, just because you can play it for free essentially with 5 backups, that doesn't feel too bad. But yeah, I think it sees play. It's just solid.
Yeah.
Next card we have is the 3-cost Death Gaze. It's a wind monster. Per 1 win until end of turn, it becomes a 7,000 power forward, and it cannot be blocked by a forward with power greater than Death Gaze. You can only use this ability once per turn, and then it has a special, which is a misprint, level 5 death. So instead of tap, it's S, 2 wind. Break all characters, cost 5 and 10 the opponent controls.
I mean, I think this guy's pretty cool. Maybe in that like cool 3-color monsters that people were playing at the end of Opus 4, he fits in there. I don't know. Again, I go back to the tried and true. Is he better than Kobold Droid? And I don't think he is. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think Kobold Droid. The thing about Kobold Droid is he fits in just almost any deck because he's so cheap. This guy costs 3, so you're committing a little bit more resources to him, and he's also a little bit easier to block than Kobold Droid. But it seems like with the meta currently, a lot of things are getting really big. So a 7K that can only be blocked by 7K, or is it?
No, it's 6.
Power greater, yeah.
8 or above.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah, 7 or below, you can block this guy. So, I mean, that's kind of relevant. I think he really only sees play in, like you said, like a wind water monster deck or, like a 3-color monster deck. But I do think he's pretty solid. And if 5 drops are a thing and you're running that monster deck, it feels really good to get his ability off. If you catch 2 5 drops.
When they print all those 10 drops, he'll be insane.
Yeah, or if they print a 10 drop, that's also true. So the next card we have is Amigo, another 11 character. Cannot be blocked by forwards, costs 4 or more, and when it deals damage to your opponent puts the top 2 cards in his or her deck in the break zone, so it's mills for 2. And if both cards are the same element, you get to draw a card, and it's a 6K, so it's a little bit under curve.
I mean, I think in those wind decks where they're really low to the ground, like Unblockable Wind, I think this card's actually really good in the meta right now if you're playing something like that, just because everyone is running mono water, mono lightning, mono something. So you're more than likely you're always going to get that extra draw off the top, which is always good to see more cards.
Yeah, I do wish that maybe this said, like, maybe this was like a 2-drop with less power, and it couldn't be blocked by, like, 3 or more or something. A little bit more lower. I think that the fact that you can still block this with 3 drops, like almost like every deck runs a 3-drop pretty much. But when you hit that sweet spot where you can only block it with 2 drops, some decks don't even run that at all. But you're right, a lot of the meta right now is mono, so it will get that rip more often than not. So I think this maybe could see play, but I don't think it quite makes the cut, to be honest. Next card we have is the 2-cost Ninja. Cannot be blocked by forward, costs 4 or more, and it's 4,000 power.
This card sucks.
Yeah, I think this card's bad. We could spend this time on it.
This card's just bad.
Yeah, I mean, why would you play this when you could play like Legends Zidane or anything like that? Yeah, so
there's a lot of cards that do a similar thing a lot better.
Yeah, this sees no play for sure. Next card we have is 3-cost Pinello. She's a backup EX burst. When she enters the field, search for 1 card named Vaughn, add to your hand.
I think she's all right if you're playing some Sky Pirates or you really want to get that light Vaughn out. But I don't think light Vaughn fits in Wind, um, just because he needs to get to combat. So I don't think she's all that good.
Yeah, I think the problem is, yeah, like she's really limited in what she does. She only gets Vaughn. So I guess if you're running a deck that has Wind and has Vaughn in it, you definitely run this. But I don't see that being very strong in the meta right now because I think Vaughn's gonna need haste really to be relevant. And if he's getting haste, he's either in fire and lightning, and in lightning you have Gramus, and in fire you don't have either. So I'm not really sure this sees much play competitively at all. But if you want that cool Sky Pirate tech, I guess you're definitely running this card. But I don't think it sees much play competitively. Next card we have, which I actually really like this card a lot, is 2-cost Mion. She's a 14 character. When she enters the field, choose a character other than Mion you control. You return it to your hand, and if you do, you draw a card.
Yeah, I think she's really good. Because like if you're playing her in mono win, you just bounce. You can bounce a bigger guy, and you can essentially just play him back for free and ready everything. Like you could bounce your. You could go to combat, swing, second main, bounce your Barts, and then play Barts again. Just ready everything. Like that just seems good.
Yeah, I'm looking more toward the cards that have ETBs, like recycling your Zidanes and such like that.
That's true.
She doesn't feel very good to play early because you want to get the card if you can. She's also not breakable, which does kind of suck a little bit. But I do think when you start talking about outside mono win, this card gets even better. Maybe like in Wind Lightning, you bounce your Alcid back to your hand, you draw a card, you play Alcid and something else. I think that
no one ever wants to kill your Alcid, right?
yeah, I think that could be really crazy good. I really like this card a lot, but it has to win. Something's going to have to be good competitively in order for this card to see play, which I do think will happen. So I think this card sees play.
I agree.
Because I think Wind Lightning is still pretty good, and I think you probably can squeeze this in there. But we'll see. Next card is the second legendary for Wind. It's the 3-cost Yestola. She's a Scion, which she's the only Scion off color, so that's not very relevant. She doesn't receive damage from summons and abilities, and you can put her in the break zone to choose one summon or auto ability and cancel its effect. And she's on curve at 7,000 power.
I think she's insane. Wind likes any deck with Wind, really. Maybe Wind Lightning being the exception, likes to go extremely wide. And this card allows you to not care about whether or not they have Shantota.
Yeah, it's really strong that she can cancel autos. Not much can do that. It's only in Wind. It's her and 7, I think is who it is, and he's a special. So this could just do it just by being there. And you're gonna probably run multiples, so you can do it more than once. The only way really you're gonna get around her is you have to hit her first. So you have to dump mana into killing her before you can do what you want to do. And since Shantota or something like that is gonna be very expensive, you're spending a ton of mana, which then the Wind player is probably okay with that.
Yeah.
So
also, it's like, what are they spending mana on? Because they can't. She doesn't take damage from summons or abilities, so you gotta like maybe bounce her back or something like that.
yeah, I agree.
She's unalfitable, which is never a bad thing.
Yeah, so next card we have is the 4-cost Luso. He's a Final Fantasy Tactics 2 advanced character. When he enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Add one Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced 2 character, or card, excuse me. So anything, even summons, to your hand, and return the other cards to the bottom of your deck. For 1 win, he gains first strike until end of turn.
I don't think his second ability is all that relevant. I guess it could be. His versatility is good. There's never a bad time in a card game where looking at more cards is bad.
Yeah, so I underrated this card at first for sure. The first strike is relevant because it's really hard to get first strike and Wind just by itself. So the fact that he can become a 7k first strike is pretty nice. And then once I started looking into actually how many Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced 2 cards there are, so just to name a couple that are really good, Mateus is Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced 2.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So she can get that. The new Thief that I was talking about that I think is crazy is in the same color as him. That's Tactics Advanced 2.
Adele.
You got Adele. You have, what's her name? The new Lightning Forward, Alua, is Tactics Advanced 2.
Oh, yeah, she's really good. So, like, Wind Lightning's shaping up.
Yeah, so I think, and then even on top of that, you got the Tutor is Tactics Advanced 2, so he can fish out the tutor, play the tutor, get another card. So I actually think I slept on this card. I think this card is really good. I think Tactics Advance 2 will be a deck. Like you don't make like a full deck around it, but I think there's enough cards that are relevant that you jam this guy in, and he's probably drawing you a card every time for being 1K below curve, and he has another ability on top of it. So I think he's good, and I think he definitely sees play.
Yeah.
Next card we have is the 4-cost Rex. He's a 12 character. When he's put from the field to the break zone, you may play 1 card Vaughn from your hand onto the field, and he's an 8K.
I think he's okay. I mean, if you have something with Light Vaughn in it, right? And he dies on your opponent's turn, then Light Vaughn can swing on the first, like pretty much the first turn he's on the board. But I guess if you're not running some Vaughn or Sky Pirate deck, he's not very good.
Yeah, I would like to see this more like a Zac or something where you can actually just fish Vaughn out of your deck and play him, like Dole or something. So I think that this guy won't see much play at all because again, for the same reason Pinello. But if you're running some Sky Pirate deck that has a wind in it, which it's gonna have, I think you could jam this guy in and it'll be fine. But I don't think that deck's gonna be very good competitively. So the next card we have is the 1-cost Layak. He's a monster. When a forward your opponent controls attacks, put Layak in the break zone. If you do, activate all the characters you control and draw a card.
I mean, I think it's all right. I just don't like the fact that he's like Cleone, where it has to happen, where you don't really get to choose, you know. But I guess activating all your guys is also never a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, I could see him being useful. It's hard for him to take up a slot. That's my problem. It's not that his ability is bad. It's that like you said, you can't choose when this goes off. I'd rather just play Oracle, who's a resource that I can keep ready if I want to, and just pay 2 win that when I can use it whenever I want.
Exactly.
So I don't really think this guy sees much play at all. Even in like a monster deck, I don't think he sees much play, to be honest. It's just hard for him to take up a slot. I think that's the problem. The next card we have, which is I think is the last card before the starter cards, is the Spacilian. He's a 13 character in Wind. I don't think it's super relevant. I think he's 13. So you tap, choose 1 forward. It can only be blocked by a forward cost equal or inferior to its own this turn.
I mean, maybe this guy sees play in the monster deck, but not in like anything else. I guess he can turn anything into a Death Gaze. So like a Death Gaze Green Dragon or something like that is okay.
Well, it's cost, so it's not.
Oh, it's cost.
Yeah, not power. So I mean,
Well, it makes him a little better.
he's okay. My issue with him is the same issue I just had with the last card. Is does this guy take up a slot in your deck? And I don't think he does. Even in monster decks, I don't think he makes the cut.
I think in monster decks he's not bad. He turns your Green Dragon into a Kobold Droid.
I mean, yeah, but then just play Kobold Droid, you know?
Why not run both, right?
Yeah, but then this is taking up a slot that another monster could be in, and a monster that's going to give you
definitely better choices.
Yeah, so I don't think that this sees play really competitively. Just because for the same reason as the last card, I don't think you're going to be able to find room for this. Like you're going to just look it through the cards, and there's better cards than this. I mean, that's the problem. It's not that it's bad. It's just I would rather run something else more than likely. So we have the first starter card, which is the 4-cost Vaughn. He's an AK 12 character. When he enters the field, activate all job Sky Pirates you control. Pyroclasms is S. 1 win, tap. Choose a forward, deal at 2,000 damage for each backup you control.
It's Sky. I guess if they print more Sky Pirates, then maybe this guy becomes better. But as of right now, he's not very good.
Yeah, I think the thing is, there's only one Sky Pirate backup, and she's also a forward, so kind of sucks. I don't think this sees play at all right now, but if they push the Sky Pirate theme more in the future, maybe he could end up seeing play. But again, Sky Pirates doesn't seem very good right now, so I don't think this sees much play at all.
I mean, his S doesn't seem too bad.
It's okay, but I mean, if you're trying to deal with something that requires you to deal 10k, just play Alexander, you know?
Exactly.
That's my problem. Next we have the second starter card, which is 3-cost Balthier. When Balthier enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, add 1 Scop, Sky Pirate among them to your hand, and return the other cards to the bottom of your deck in any order.
Again, if they print Sky Pirates later, he'll be fine. But right now, like you said, there's just not enough gas and Sky Pirate deck for this guy to be good.
Yeah, there's not enough. The other Balthiers are better, I think. So yeah, I don't think this guy sees play at all. And again, it's just the theme right now isn't good, sadly. Next card we have is 2-cost Fran. She's also Sky Pirate 5k. So on curve, for each job Sky Pirate other than Fran you control, she gains 1,000 power. And card name Balthier you control cannot be chosen by your opponent's abilities.
Again, I mean, all the starter cards are the same. Obviously, the starter deck is Sky Pirates, but as of right now, they're just not good enough.
Yeah, like I think she's probably the best out of the 3 cards that we just said because she fits the theme a lot better. She powers up based on your Sky Pirates, and she's already on curve, and she does something else. If they print more Sky Pirates, this is an auto-include at that deck. Again, though, Sky Pirates are not good right now, competitively at least, so maybe, if you want to have fun with it, that's great. But competitively, I don't think it's very good.
Yeah, I guess she buffs the other the better Balthier also.
That's also true. But the problem is she is also a backup, so now you can't play backup Fran. You're forced to play forward Fran, and backup Fran is the only backup that's a Sky Pirate. So
True.
yeah, so that's all the win cards we have for today. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with us. If you don't mind, like, favorite, and subscribe if you enjoy the content, so we can continue to play more content. Next up should be Earth, I believe, so look out for that soon. Talk to you guys later. Bye.